What up, everyone? It's Led Black and Octavio Blanco. We're here for another episode of Uptown Voices, Black and Blanco edition. Octavio, how you doing, my brother? What's going on?
I'm good, but I'm not live on my Uptown Voices.
We're live on one. We got to keep rocking with it. We got to keep rocking with it. We're live. Octavio, let's keep going. Let's keep going, brother. How you doing?
All right. We're going to keep going. I'm disappointed because I'm not live on Uptown Voices, although I love being live on Uptown Collective.
Yeah, and I don't see you on the screen either. I only see myself. But what up, everyone? Dominican Father's Day. Shout out to all the Dominican fathers out there. My dad's, it's been 3 years since he passed. He made that transition. It's mad love. I've had 3 fathers in my life, luckily, and 2 have been stepdads. And my dad, even though he was my stepdad, that was my heart. Loved him dearly. I wish he would have seen the Knicks win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I got my Dominican Father's Day text this morning. Shout out to all the Dominican fathers. And Octavio, my brother, how you doing? Talk to me.
I'm good. I'm sending my love to all the Dominican dads out there. It's a great day. Dads also need to get that respect and that recognition. I'm so glad that you had more than one dad in your life, and that those experiences and those people, were good for you.
Yeah. My dad used to say, "El Día de los Perros." You know what I'm saying? Like a Dominican, dads don't get the same love as moms. She's called El Día de los Perros.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. So, all your dads get out there, get that grill going, get out there and maybe you'll get something nice today from your family. That'd be wonderful.
So I just want to remind everyone to make sure to subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. Show love. Our YouTube channel, tell people about it. Every week we're here, twice a week at least. Even though I think we're going to take a little break, a little summer break, a little short summer break. But yeah, man, make sure you subscribe, show that love. We've actually gotten a bunch of donations as well, which is really, it's really it just really edifying, shows you the work that we're doing. Is people want to donate. So shout out to the people that have donated so far. Thank you to them.
Yeah, man. Thank you to everybody who's donated. Really, really appreciate that. If you want to make a donation, I'll put up the screen here where you can scan your phone onto this QR code, and you get to make a tax deductible contribution to Uptown Voices. Any little bit that you want to contribute is appreciated. So just keep putting this up there. We're really happy that people are watching. We're really happy that people are contributing. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break in August. Just so you know, you don't have to wake up early on a Sunday morning. Starting on the 1st and 2nd week of August, I'll be taking a little time out from doing this to recharge the batteries and to go visit my folks and my brother and his family down south. Me and my son are going down there, so we're looking forward to that. But we've had quite a week, right, Led? Like, how's your week been?
Week was pretty good, man. I'm kind of recovering from the 5th annual Washington Heights reunion, which was last night in an undisclosed location in a park somewhere uptown. It was a great event, the shout out to the Morphied DJs, Reg One, Midnight, and Tiny Tim. It was amazing, you know what I mean? And I was tired, but I had a good time, got home almost 3, and it's good, wholesome, old school fun.
Did you
park somewhere.
Did you take your your chair and unfold your chair? And
I should have took my chair, to be honest. I should have took my chair because it's a trek. It's a trek into the park, but it was really dope. You know what I'm saying? I think that shit still might be going on right now, to be fully honest, right? Because when I left, people looked like they weren't ready to leave, but it was a nice setup. It was a good amount of people. And again, it's in the cut. Go ahead.
How late were you there?
I was there till almost 3. I was there till almost 3, and a lot of people didn't we're not leaving. You know what I mean? So I remember one before the pandemic, one went to almost noon. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
What?
Yes. It's
Jeez.
really cool. Yeah. So this is the 5th annual one, but really there's like a tradition that goes back in the hood, like since I don't know, since I can remember, there'll be these jams in one of the parks, and they're really dope, really kind of like, off the grid, people power type joints. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everyone that was there last night.
That's really, really cool. I know you and we've been talking a little bit about the culture, right? And how the culture, what is the culture, and like what's appropriate for quote the culture. You can't see me. I don't think, but the people can see me. I'm making air quotes for the culture. And people have like made some their opinions known. I think we've got one person in particular who seems to have become kind of like, I think he's got a podcast, and I don't want to like necessarily give him attention because I know that's probably what he really ultimately wants, but he's sort of turned into sounds like a professional troll. What, you know who I'm talking about, right, lad?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about Fernando Mateo. He's been out here with some crazy weird ass and kind of stupid opinions. He's especially, annoying on Instagram. Let me play some of the Clown Town special for Fernando Mateo, and we can talk over this video if you want, lad. Okay, so here we go.
Let's get to the tape.
Do we really need to behave this way?
Is he sitting on a toilet?
Our dignity. Where are my fucking Dominicans that have class?
It's like a weird orb. Yeah, it's like a weird orb.
When I first saw this,
Look at us.
he's talking about dignity, and I thought, how's he talking about dignity sitting on the toilet? And then why would you want to have carpet? But I guess that's his living room.
That's the ottoman.
Unbelievable.
That's the ottoman, yeah. Anyway, he was complaining about the Rio Manhattan event, and look at the comments. He got killed in the comments.
That's killed.
Jody Music. She was on our show. He just got destroyed in the comments. Like, really, like he's talking about and then if you go on, look at this about the Bronx. He says that the Bronx is full of trash. Like and he's talking about
ask
people.
You both a question. Is the Bronx better today than it was 20 years ago?
I tell you, let me tell you, the Bronx is worse today than when my son was about.
You know that voice.
You see, now you heard it. You heard it. The Bronx is full of trash.
Again,
to be honest with you.
What the hell? Like full of trash? What's he talking? He's not talking about garbage. He's talking about people. And now look at this.
Anyone could do that. It's being successful that really matters. How you live your life, what you do with it.
What is this?
Success is only for successful people.
It's easy for you to complain about like playing in the fire hydrant when you've got a pool in your backyard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Where do you begin? Like, I want to say this, right? Like, I know Fernando Mateo for a long time. At one point, I really consider him like, a friend and almost a mentor in certain ways. Like, I learned a lot from him. So I don't want to go on and just shit on him.
Okay.
But like, these antics are way too much, when he ran for mayor, prior to that, we spoke on the phone. He called me, he wanted my support, and he's always been a Republican. So, I was not going to give it, but I like him personally. And, we had conversation, and now, it was, I said, listen, you got to go away from Trump. If your thing is, Republican principles mean something, you got to run away from Trump. You can't, I think he has a lane there, you know what I mean? But I told him that he, any affiliation with Trump would be bad for him, bad for what he's trying to do. And, not that he agreed, but I think he considered it. But then when he ran like a full Trump mode, which I found really gross, and now he's there, like, and it's like it's kind of weird, for those that don't know, the video that he was complaining about that takes place on 189th in Amsterdam, right in front of PS 189, in front of the park there. Something that's been, it's nothing wrong with it. It's kids, like people, the water's already, the pool, the pump is already open and they're kind of diverting the water. So it looks more like everyone could get wet in the hot summertime. This is something we've been doing as kids our entire life, except we have more tools to make it a little cooler. You know what I mean? And then for those that don't know, like if you go back in the days, right? Like in the 80s, there used to be a pool in that park. It was a small little pool, but it was a pool in that park that serviced the people in this community, and that's gone. So for him to be like treating people like they're fucking animals because they're enjoying something in their community because they don't have money to go elsewhere, I think is really insulting. I think it's really fucked up. I think it's, like you said, he's trolling. And, in Dominican, like, I don't know, no le luce. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for him, to be where he's at and then, taking it. He's a very successful person. Been successful for a long time, but it's really, I think it's just really ugly and crass, and to be punching down, that shit is really, really, really whack. You know what I mean? For my sister Evelyn's on the IG, she didn't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Fernando Mateo. He's been on IG, again, kind of going off on what we call the culture, right? And just saying, oh, Dominicans, what are we doing? This is not us. This is horrible. And then he just shows a picture of people just hanging out, nothing doing wrong. There was nothing wrong in those videos. Right? They weren't selling drugs. They were enjoying themselves, having a good time on a really hot summer day. Like, and what's the problem with that? So, yeah, I think it was really gross, and I think, like you said, I think it's unfortunate, that he's going there.
I want to also say that to just focus on that is wrong, because when you're talking about Dominican culture, you're talking about a rich, rich culture that's got so many facets of it. Yes, we got that, people hanging out on the street and enjoying themselves. That's part of the culture. But Dominicans have a strong literary culture, which was on display, I think it was last weekend at the Dominican Book Affair Uptown, which unfortunately I missed, but I plan to go to the next one. But, I would really encourage Fernando and anybody else who wants to paint people with broad strokes and talk about, point at something that they may disagree with and point at that and say that that's like the be all and end all of the culture, to really take another look. I mean, Fernando could have been at that book fair and seeing all the incredible authors and writers and, intelligent folks that are trying to share their thoughts and ideas. We've got Dominicans have so much music. There, 2 weeks ago, there was the Conexión Dominicana. He could have been there showing off all the producers in the music business who are trying to share their tips on how to make it in that industry. There's so much going on that to just troll people who are doing what people in New York have done since the fire pump was invented, is beneath him. And then to do that and also post a picture of him swimming in his pool, like you say, no le luce para nada.
Yeah.
So I know that you've gone back with him, but something's got to change about how people are interacting on social media, and he needs to be called out for his lack of vision and his lack of understanding. And just, but I mean, to be honest, on his own,
I don't think to be honest, I don't think it's not a lack of vision. Like, this is on purpose, and that's what makes it, I think, even worse. Right? Like I said, I've known him for a long time, right? Like, and he's a really smart person. And, it's a business success. He's been successful in business for a long time. Like La Marina was him, right? Like, he was one of the owners, but he was the main, like, one pushing things, making it blow up. And then he's choosing this route. he's choosing to go this way, right? Which I think is really whack. Like, if you spend any time like interpersonal with him, the guy's, he's full of information. He's done so many things freely. Like, again, when I first we did our first Christmas party at La Marina, and I got it for nothing, right? I got it like at cost because of him, right? He's like, yo, Lad, I love what you're doing. Here you go. Just pay me this, and you get the spot. And it was a beautiful Christmas party. We had La Marina the year it opened. You know what I mean? He's always looked out. Like, I've worked. I've done work for the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of I wrote bios. He's like, yo, Lad, I want to pay you to do write bios, and I did that. So he's looked out for me, like, a lot, but to see this route that he's taking is just, to me, it's kind of, it's sad, it's infuriating, and it's whack, because it's like, don't shit on us, right? Like, just don't use us to get higher, right? Especially when again, fucking playing in the pumps. I've been doing that since I was a little kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, last heat wave, I swear to God, I was about to be out in the pump too. It was so hot. I'm in my apartment. I was about to get the chancletas, leave the phone in the crib, or leave it with the wife and get in the pump. Like, it was that real. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the kind of pumps, people need an outlet. You know what I mean? So it's like, for him to just shit on it was just low taste again. But I'm saying it's a choice, it's a strategy, to push buttons, to troll. And I just think, like, you shouldn't have to troll when you have an actual legacy.
Yeah, we've seen that way too much with Espaillat, and now we're seeing it with Mateo. These are our supposed leaders. They don't seem to be leading. They seem to be hating, and they seem to be trolling. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Yeah, I concur.
Anyhow, I wanted to make sure to talk about that, because I think that the conversation about the culture and the conversation about people being outside, making noise, is important. You need to make sure that people are respectful of their neighbors. If you're like outside of a building and you're playing your music at full blast and it's like 3:00 in the morning, like, respect your neighbors. Some of these people are working early in the morning, and they need to get up, and they're hard workers, and it's not about, and they need to sleep, and you're keeping them up. So, I mean, for sure, there's got to be a conversation around respect for other people. But this issue with the pump is not the way to, it's not how you do it. It's not the place.
It's so
to do
corny.
It.
It's so corny. And then it's to admonish people from his pool house or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? To admonish people in Washington Heights from your pool house in Westchester is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just low taste. And again, like, so yesterday I stopped by my mom's house, it's real quick, to play dominoes. My mom lives in the 190s in Wadsworth. And, she was home, and I went and got her some fried shrimp with fried rice and tostones from the little fish spot that's right next to the train station on 191st, right?
Uh-huh.
And I said it to say, like, there's real issues that we can be talking about instead of people in the pump enjoying themselves, right?
Yes.
And my issue that I come back to every time I can is about heroin. Like, heroin is really sinking its hooks into Uptown, and it's insidious, and people don't even really like notice it sometimes, or people just like, oh, that's the way things are. But it's like, when I went, me and my mom was playing dominoes. She was getting hungry. I was getting hungry. I said, Mom, let me go get this food, right? So I go get the food, and then when you go into that fish, like, it's the fish spot, 191st, right on the same side of the train station, right? When you get it, it has like almost like a little, like a small, like double door, right? You go in, and then you're not in the store, you're in the store, right? So when I'm coming out, like, in that door, there was like two guys like doing a deal, right? So I was like, excuse me. I get out, and then they both kind of get out because they were in front of me. And he was like, oh yeah, you got to try this, called Bases Loaded. With heroin, they're giving names like Bases Loaded, Tango and Cash, whatever. So he said Bases Loaded. And the guy said the weirdest shit. He's like, I'll try it, and I'll give you honest, what I thought of it. I was like, which I thought was crazy, right? But then I walked 2 blocks down. Now I'm going down on my mom's block, in the 190s. And then the block got turned on, there's a dude, he's in his car. And there's a heroin addict in front of his window, and he just does this, for heroin. Like that's the exchange. And that's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I was a kid, that shit not even marijuana, you could do that. You know what I'm saying? You had to go down the hallway, through the basement, come on the other side, knock on the door 3 times, hop on 1 foot. You know what I mean? and like now is like, again, heroin is everywhere, and they're not even trying to enforce the shit, and it's causing a precipitous drop in our standards of living, and no one seems to notice. And I'm just remind you, like, my car got stolen last year for 9 days, my CRV, right? And when I was telling the cop, my story about what happened, where I left it, she listened to my whole story, right? And then she goes, "Oh yeah, I see you," because they got the flock cameras all connected, right? So she was like, "Oh, I see when you came off the bridge. Oh, I see you looking for parking. Oh, I saw where you told me you had your parking. Oh, I saw where your car got stolen going across the bridge to the Bronx at 2:46 in the morning." So they saw all that. They saw everything that happened, and that's how they verified that what I was saying was true. But with that, you can't see all the people selling heroin in the streets. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Like, so it's like this shit is out in the open, and it's everywhere. And again, like when you go on this side of Fort Wash, west of Broadway, you do see it. I'm not gonna lie, but when you go east of Broadway, you see it every block, and the human misery is everywhere. You know what I mean? And it's like, shit is really real. So I'm saying, like, instead of Fernando Mateo talking about people enjoying themselves, he should be talking about that. But he don't live here, right? He don't understand that. He don't understand what we're going through here. And again, I think a lot of people too here, they just kind of take it for granted. They'll walk over, they'll go around, someone's shooting, and there's blood on the fucking floor. You know what I mean? Like, there's needles and veins as you see it. Like, we see it, every day. So again, that's something I think that if you want to be talking about what shouldn't be allowed, is that.
Yeah, man. And, we're one of 2 places in the country with consumption, with a site where you can go and use your safe injection site. You can go and use your drugs. You can use your heroin. You can use your crack, whatever it is. You can use it in the safe injection site. And we've talked about it. It's not that we're against having safe injection sites, but they shouldn't be just in our communities. If they're so important and so useful, let's make sure that they're everywhere. Put them down in Chelsea. They've got a big drug problem down in Chelsea. Put them out in the hub in the Bronx. There's a big problem over there. Unfortunately, when you put them here, what ends up happening is we start getting people from all over the country coming here to use these sites and to feel safe, because their communities are actively kicking them out, buying them bus tickets and sending them to New York City. And that's why we're seeing this huge influx of people. And I would say that, like, the majority of people seem to be from out of town, but when you have it here, obviously you're going to start getting people from here starting to use it too. The dealers, sometimes they get into it.
Yeah, you see that a lot too. There's a lot of, like, people that were hustling, that were doing the oxys, you know what I mean? Because they were doing the lean, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they enjoyed the shit, and they're making money, you know what I mean? They're doing well, but then, one hiccup in that life, and now you still got an addiction, right? And then after a while, you're not gonna pay the $75 for a pill. You're gonna start doing it. So it's like, you see a lot of people like that too. You see a lot of young people from the community. I mean, that's a small group, but you still see them. And it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it also is heartbreaking for the community. It's heartbreaking that our children have to see, this. And again, it's literally like, again, every day on my block, a heroin addict goes into the garbage and takes everything out the garbage, just leaves it there. Yesterday, there was a small mattress across the street with 2 garbage bags. And then they were going through those garbage bags. And I know that super busts his ass to keep that building clean. You know what I mean? And it's, again, it's something that you're going to put something in. Again, it's an experiment that had no community backing, no real study, and then they just hit you in the head with it. And I think, we're feeling the effects of that. And again, remember, I always say this, and we learned this here. So it wasn't me. It was our councilwoman, Carmen de la Rosa, who said, Blasio put this in effect in the last day of his administration at midnight. If that's not a setup, I don't know what is. That shit is crazy, right? And we're feeling the effects of that now. You see it every day. You walk outside your neighborhood. And again, because I consider myself like a expert on heroin because of the historical aspect of it. I was big onto the opium wars. I read a lot about it. We've talked about it on the show at length. I feel like the heroin is not the drug to fuck around with. It's not the drug that you want to create like a public taste for it, which has already been created. And again, when you create policy that somehow it just doesn't make sense, you're just putting it in Uptown Manhattan. You're putting it in Harlem and in the Heights. It really does feel like you trying to hurt us when you do it like that. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to hurt people of color in Manhattan and the only place to have a little bit of power. That's the only way I can see it. And I said it before, I said it again, it feels like a gentrification. It feels like a Trojan horse for gentrification, right? Like the point is to get rid of us. And once you get rid of us, you get rid of the injection sites, and then more enforcement because this is fucked up.
Oscar Romero, when we had him on, he was he actually was able to sort of explain that Trojan horse in a way that I hadn't heard others do it as well as he was able to. Or, first they make the neighborhood unlivable, right? So they try to force you out because you don't want to live here, because you don't want to be around that. Once they get you out, they acquire all the housing. And then once they've acquired all the housing, now they control it, and they control the rent, and they put it out there for a rent that you can't afford anymore, but somebody can afford coming into New York City. And then that's how they change the whole neighborhood. They just, get the people who are living here, who are making New York the place that it is, the workers, out of here, and they bring in the investors and the rich people, and they make Manhattan into like a playground for the rich. And
yeah, like my mom has been in the same apartment on Wadsworth in the 190s since 79. She's 89, right? And she pays $600 and change for a 3-bedroom, right? And that she's the problem, right? She's the problem. And that's why, the landlords have done several bullshit to her. Like, she didn't pay. My mother's old school. She don't even pay with check. She got money orders. So she had every single receipt. Like, what I'm saying is that these people are not playing, and they're really trying to push us out. And again, as a class, as a class. And, even in my own building, right? Like, there's a lot of people here that I paid market rate because we got this apartment late. But the apartment right next to me is unoccupied because they're warehousing it. Because the lady that lived next to me, she died during the pandemic. And it's a small apartment, but she was paying $235 for it, right? Yeah. So if they put that back on the market, they could only make it go up but so much. So what they're doing, they're keeping it, just warehousing. And this is just one of many apartments in my building alone. You know what I mean? So it's like these tactics, and they'll find a way, like they always find a way to nickel and dime you. Like, again, this is a long history in this community that I've lived in Washington Heights, right? And every winter, I never had to take my ACs out the window. Never. I've never taken an AC out the window, right? Because they always gave full heat. I remember sometimes being like in New Year's, at my mother's crib, and it's so fucking hot. We're like in tank tops with the windows open. You know what I'm saying? Because the heat is so hot. Now they don't give heat like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Not here in my apartment that I'm paying like almost $4,000. Not in my mother's apartment. They don't give heat anymore like that. The heat in my building is by app. And that motherfucker turns it on and off as he sees fit. The hot water don't start to a certain time. Like, again, these are tactics, and it's just fucking infuriating. Infuriating, you know what I mean?
Yo, so I think somebody on the IG was asking, did something happen? And we got into this conversation because of Fernando Mateo and how he's basically punching down on people. And then wanted to make sure that folks knew that, there's bigger issues that people like Fernando Mateo supposedly are leaders or people that we respect, business and government should be concerned with. One of them is is drugs and how the scourge of heroin is taking over our community. And that led us to the conversation about how this is like a Trojan horse for gentrification. And ultimately, it's to the benefit of landlords to make the community unlivable for the people who are here now to get us out so they can take control of their apartments and flip the rent to make it much higher. So it's all about the junction of our standard of living and our drug and the issue with the drugs, and finally the issue with housing, which we are in a huge housing crisis in this city and in this country. And that's something that I want to talk about, because this weekend or this week, I actually went out with the mayor's office of mass engagement and the mayor's office to protect tenants. And they're starting this door knocking campaign, and they're looking for other New Yorkers to join in their door knocking campaign. Let me play you some video from the door knocking where I was at. So yeah, that's like a great opportunity that this administration is putting for us all to be a part of. So it's not just relying. This is what I'm very, very pleased with this administration about. They're really trying to mobilize everybody, your friends, your neighbors. It's what led them to power, is this people power. And so they really want people to get organized and to join them in this campaign to alert your neighbors that they should be getting together and forming tenant associations and tenant unions. You can be a part of this door knocking campaign where you can let your neighbors know that, you know, how to organize, where to go to organize, and all kinds of stuff like that. It's a really, really important thing that every New Yorker can do. And I encourage every New Yorker to get out there and to help the administration to, you know, get mobilized and get our people out there to do it. It was a lot of fun. We were, you know, in the building going around like trying to get in. Like getting in was like the hardest part. It was like I thought that they would have already had somebody available there, but like we spent some time outside, like actually trying to get into the building, but we finally got in, and it wasn't just me, it was a bunch of other Uptown social media folks. We got into the building and we went around and we're door knocking and telling the people about like what it is that they were doing. It was kind of fun to be out there, and it was kind of cool to see like our government people like making the point of being out there and putting their effort out there. We didn't, and not every door like opened for us, but the ones that did were really happy to see like, oh, you're from the mayor's office and you're not here to like find me or like, you know, like you're not coming down on me. You're here to like empower me to like organize and make sure that the things that I need from my landlord are being done, you know? So that office, the mayor's office for the protection of tenants is there for you. The office of mass engagement is there for you. I do hope that everybody who feels as powerless as we've felt before and actually wants to do something, it's not every day that the mayor of New York City has a program that you can take part in to exert your power against your landlord and get the things that you need. It's really not normal. And so we must take advantage of it.
I agree. You know, you guys kind of look like, did anyone think you guys were Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yes, I'm sure. Positive.
De que son malditos aquí jodiendo
No,
un sábado. Coño. No, but
dude,
you're 100%
yeah.
right. You're 100% right. Like, I think, we need to organize as much as we can. In my building, I think it's necessary as well. We already have like Maria on my floor. Maria is like this older Cuban lady, you know what I mean? And she organizes for the building, you know what I mean? But I think getting a little bit more formal structure, I think it'll be great for my building, for tons of buildings, across uptown. Because what I realized, and again, we talked about on this show, I started on this journey of like self-growth through the lens of race, Malcolm and understanding race in America. And I was slow to class. I thought sometimes people that focus on class didn't focus on race enough, in my opinion, you know what I mean? But now I'm seeing class is so important. And then what I'm also realizing, and I forgot the name of the guy we had on the show, at the very beginning, landlords, they act like a class, right?
Yes.
And they move like a class. And, the pressures that I feel is the same pressure someone else on Harlem is feeling, or in the Bronx or Inwood, and the same tactics, right? And it's a concerted effort to get us that been here forever out of here. You know what I mean? So if they act like a class, then we should do the same. And if we get all these buildings organized, if we get all tenant organizations everywhere, then we have more leverage and more power. You know what I mean? We need to use the leverage that we have, and I think if we don't use it, it's to our own detriment. And if they're acting like a class, we should act like as a class as well. And there's more of us, so we should exert that power.
Yeah, this housing issue is huge for Uptown, and it's one that we've been covering since the beginning of our podcast. We've had a number of housing-focused episodes, so I do encourage everybody, if you haven't seen some of our early coverage of the housing crisis in Uptown, to check out some of the early episodes. We've done an episode with a housing attorney who's giving tips. We've done an episode with housing unions and housing associations, tenants unions and tenants associations, and we've done an episode with the Community Land Trust, which is a really, really interesting concept, which is something that I hadn't heard of, but it's a way that actually the tenants of a building, if their building is being mismanaged and being egregiously ignored, the city wants you, if you're organized enough, if you have a tenants association, to connect with the Community Land Trust so that you, the tenants, can actually take over your own building and make the changes that need to happen. So that's a really interesting episode as well, when we talked about community land trusts and what they mean. And so, more on that hopefully in the future. There's stuff that's in the works on that issue with the community land trust stuff. That it's if there's a community land trust that can actually take over a building for their tenants, that would be a monumental event. So, let's see what happens on that front.
Yeah.
So yeah, housing is a huge issue.
Yeah, shout out to josielove.com on IG. He says there's a list of 100 worst landlords in New York City every year. That's totally correct. And again, these landlords are horrible, right? Like they don't do what they need to do, in our building, right? Very rich buildings, they get everything, right? Because they get the income they want. But in Uptown, in the South Bronx, you know what I mean? Like we're just getting this horrible treatment. They don't fix shit. They let shit that, just worsen. There was a fire in Dykeman earlier this year, and while, someone throwing a cigarette caused the fire, but there was garbage everywhere. The building was not taken care of, right? It's like, that disdain for us is legendary. But I want to switch over, because I know we're almost over. I want to just talk about, on the Uptown Collective, every day I'm sharing opportunities, and things happening uptown from a lot of the different people across, a lot of the organizations uptown. So I just want to share, there's a bunch of organizations hiring uptown. So I want to share those really quickly for those that are looking for work. But again, Uptown Collective on IG, every day, there's, especially on the story, there's a lot of stuff happening. So I just want to start some of them real quick. Harlem Grown, which is a super important organization uptown, is looking for after school directors, program coordinator, food and farm activity specialist, sports specialists, and group leaders. Also visit homegrown.org/careers. There's a lot more as well. Dances for a variable population. They're DVP_NYC on IG. They're also hiring. They're hiring a programs and company manager. So look them up. They do important work uptown. And then also another super amazing organization, Figure Skating in Harlem. They're also hiring skating instructors, director of development, and head of skating development. And, that's really important stuff. So if you're looking for work and you want to keep it uptown, this is where the place to be. It's funny. I know so many people uptown, and a lot of people that work in the community, that work for the community, they're in the place they need to be, and it's great to not have to go downtown, go elsewhere, and, keep them uptown dollars uptown. So you want to share some of those things.
Yeah, no, that's so important. So definitely check out Uptown Collective. There's always Led does a great job of making sure that he's sharing in the stories, like all the latest events and opportunities like this. Sometimes people don't watch the full stories, I recommend that you go and just let those stories play through, because you're going to get something in there that's going to be of benefit to you, whether it be, these opportunities or a nice event to go with your family, to listen to music or see theater or see art. There's always something there for you on Uptown Collective. Uptown Collective, you've been doing this for us for so long. You've been really a real foundation for improving in this neighborhood. And, we're here. And I'm glad that I'm able to join forces with you. And, we're going to be also evolving and doing more stuff together. I want to switch gears also to talk about something that's coming up. It's going to be Taco Tuesday Uptown. Taco Tuesday Uptown every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we're going to try to do a new video of an uptown taco spot. Here you go. I'm going to give you the sneak peek. I'm going to play this for you guys. All right. So enjoy this one. What's up, everybody? It's Octavio Blanco from Uptown Voices. Uptown is known for its Dominican food. There's plenty of good options all over the place uptown. What's little known is that there's actually quite a few pretty decent Mexican food places, especially tacos, and especially on 207th Street, where there's a bunch that have been here for a while and a few that are recently opened up. So I'm here on 207th Street, and I'm going to be going to all these different little taco places up on 207th, and I'm going to rate them on quality of food, authenticity, and also I'm going to ask them if they're doing anything in the community, what kind of activities they do. So today I'm on 207th and Post in front of Trocitos de Mexico. So let's go inside and check out what they've got. Hello. Okay. Hi. Hola. ¿Cómo está? Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Pues estamos aquí porque en la 207 yo he visto que hay bastantes restaurantes mexicanos que sirven tacos.
Tratamos de mantenerlo tradicional, que no se pierda, por eso se llama Trocitos de México, para que no se pierda la tradición.
¿Cuál es la especialidad de la casa?
Aquí el más popular que vendemos es la quesabirria. La quesabirria, y el que le sigue es el pastor. Todo lo vendemos todo, pero lo más popular la quesabirria. Y le sigue el pastor. A la gente le gusta.
Pues ok, yo no he comido nada hoy, entonces tengo mucha hambre. ¿Puedo pedir una quesabirria y una del pastor?
Claro, yo se lo preparo ahora mismo.
Gracias.
That look good.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it was good. It was tasty. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're proud that Uptown Voices is now a fiscally sponsored project of the Maisels Documentary Center. This means we're able to accept tax-deductible contributions to support our production. You'll see a QR code on the screen right now. Scanning that is the easiest way to invest in local media and help us keep telling these inspiring Uptown stories. We appreciate your support more than we can say. Thanks for listening to Uptown Voices.